Hi everyone, and welcome back. So where we left off is we have these animations that I have built to run a attack for our player character against enemies. We built them in Aesprite, we loaded them into Unreal Engine 4, and I am now going to get ready to actually implement this into the code so that it actually runs when we want it to, looks okay. So yeah, that's basically it. What I was thinking is I'm just going to put it in as I currently have the logic set up, and I'm going to go ahead and run a playtest just to kind of see how it looks like. And once I put in the new one, see how it looks, and then I think it'll kind of give me an idea of what I'm going to need to fix. Oh, give me one sec. Okay, there we go. And let me just check one other thing. Yeah, so that doesn't look right. Let me try that again. That's not what I wanted either. There we go. I think that's what I want. Here we go. All right. Just wanted to get my appropriate notifications on there. Well, Amy, I have not played Sonic 3D, but hey, if it looks like a Sonic game, that's all cool with me. I'm down with that. All right. So let's take a look at how I currently have it set up. So it's going to be when players in stance 1, which is the default at this point, it's going to be when they do a up attack. So that was interesting. I was not expecting that because I didn't change anything. I did change the structure blueprint. I'm surprised it already had that in there. Let's take a look, another look at that. It's funny that I did not even realize that it was already updating. All right, cool. So that's currently how it looks right now, and you can kind of see that the distance, it looks a little bit far away. Yeah, he kind of moves back a little bit. I think that's because of the Kansas size, the how I was originally putting in the sprite, it's a little bit wider now, so I'm just gonna have to adjust that. Okay, so that's how I'm seeing it, and this is gonna be in this blueprint. I'm just also surprised because I changed the name of the structure. It used to be called just attack up, but now it's attack up block, attack up hit, and it's still registered. So it looks like there was just some overriding that happened, which is fine. It looks like it did. Oh, you know what? Let me run it again. I couldn't tell. I didn't notice if it did block or hit. I'm pretty sure it did block. Let's see. Yeah, it's doing block. So it's probably because the placement of the struct just happened to align to where that attack up was first taking place. At least that's what I'm assuming. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm working in blueprints. That's what I'm telling everybody I'm working on. So let's get started on that. So here is my event graph for Battle HUD Blueprint. So I guess let me start by saying my logic in what I did in the blueprint. Just kind of watch, many tutorial videos. The beauty of Unreal, any logic, any coding, any engine is that there's always many multiple ways to do things. You don't have to take a certain path. The way I look at Unreal's blueprints is that they're saying like, hey, we have blueprints for characters, we have blueprints for actors and HUDs. I mean, the reality is you can kind of build it to however you want. It's just good structure to where if the logic you're going to be doing is controlling a character or variables like, obviously like health and endurance and strength stats, you would want to put that in a character blueprint. At least to me, that makes sense. I could find out I'm doing this completely wrong, but that at least that makes sense to me. Game mode to me, at least from what I've understand, is like that kind of sets the rules for your level. So like right now, this level, this prototype is just doing this battle, fighting these 3 enemies, and then that's it. That's done with the battle. So like all of the rules of that is basically in this game mode blueprint, which is basically saying, we're loading in the battle stats, we're getting control of the character, we are setting all these the objects that exist in this level. So it's like it's grabbing all of this information that I placed out here. That's what this is doing. It's doing that with the widgets as well. Widgets in Unreal is basically your UI. With Unity, that's like Canvas. So Unity is Canvas, Unreal Engine is widgets. So this is connecting to those widgets to say, hey, these are the widgets that we're going to be accessing through the game mode. And then I have various commands that I have attached to, what are these called? Interfaces. So I do have interfaces. Now, these are probably definitely not the cleanest way that I'm doing these. I probably rebuilt this prototype like 3 times, just trying to do a different approach to how I'm building it. So where I'm at right now is I have a game mode. I have all the objects in the scene loaded into the game mode, and I'm basically having the game mode run the rules and actions of the game to say, hey, if the player runs into this collider to start the battle, then you're going to say start battle, which is what's happening right here. Made a little comment to say battle start. Commenting is super important, so you know what it is that you're working on. And like, for example, this is the menu input call. So like when you're doing the, if I pause my game with escape, and I'm using the up and down key, that's the menu input calls that my game mode is responsible for. And I tried to make sure, and I tried to structure it that, since this is like the same as the pause menu, to call the same game mode. Okay, so I was saying all that to get to the battle HUD. This is just how I started building the prototype. Looking back at it, I probably could have put all of this logic into a different blueprint, but I've kind of gotten so far with it at this point that this is one of those where if it works, it works. So leave it alone. Just let it do its thing at this point. And this may be when I start working in other levels for this game, I might take a different approach, because now that I kind of have an idea of what needs to happen for battles, I ultimately might want to do something different. But at least for now, the way my thinking is, you know, this is a 2D RPG. So your controls are really the HUD. You know, like my up and down movements on the gamepad, me pressing buttons, you're really moving the HUD. You're not really moving the character. That was my logic. My logic is your arrow keys, your gamepad, you're not moving the main character. All you're doing is issuing commands. So that was kind of my thinking. I was kind of thinking, well, then it needs to be the battle HUD is the blueprint, because the blueprint is basically controlling what's happening with the game. So, with that being said, that means that the attack animations are happening in this battle HUD blueprint. So that's where I'm going right here. And this is where I have my comments to say what they're doing. Selecting is really just the HUD navigation is a fun discussion in and of itself. I'm just going to briefly kind of glance over everything. Okay, so in the game, all right, so battle starts, and that's when the player moves to the position they collide with the object. The object that I have there, that's when the menu pops up and you say fight. Battle starts. Okay. We start displaying the HUD after we delay 2 seconds. We're getting various objects. We can go over the objects later. But I have a battle manager object. I have the character, which is called Battle Mento in this case. We're grabbing that blueprint. We're setting a menu state, because I'm setting states with the menu so that the game knows what state it's in to do certain actions. Because if I'm saying, when you're using your D-pad and you're saying up and down or left and right, I need it to know. I need to know what state it's in. Am I on the main screen where nothing's been selected yet when I'm moving up and down, or am I in the attack? Am I in the attack select? So I have to tell it to say, hey, you're in the attack select now. That's basically what's happening with this battle menu state. So that way when I press up, it checks the state. It says, oh, are you in this state, or are you in the attack state? Oh, well, you're in the attack state. So if you pressed up, then that means I'm going to show an up arrow, as you can see in the demo. Heck yeah, woot woot. All right. So with that being said, so like I have going up, going down, left, right, and I'm saying like pressing this on the keyboard or the D-pad. These are the various commands that you're going to be running. Selection in the menu, that's me saying when you're pressing for the keyboard Enter or X on a gamepad. This is where you're selecting. I use gates to control. Gates are something that it's too broad of a topic for me to go over, so it just goes. Definitely something that I recommend looking up. Reading the Unreal documentation, watching tutorials. But basically, the gate is what's allowing me to say, if the player is pressing Enter multiple times without doing anything, or pressing X. I have conditions set to make sure that when they press it, it will do what they're expecting. So like, for example, when they're on stance and they press X, obviously that should open up the stance menu, that kind of thing. And the gate allows me to control, that they can't just keep pressing X and it's going to be doing something, and that there has to be conditions set and met so that it'll do the right thing. All right, let's go to the attack. So it's been a while since I looked at this code because I got the prototype to where I was pretty happy. I pretty much got an attack set. I got special skills for each stance, at least one special skill for each stance. And then I said, okay, I'm going to focus on artwork. I'm going to try to get back into doing artwork. So that way I can start, making the game kind of represent what I want it to become in terms of looks. So, and mechanic-wise, I'm not like super happy with how the game looks or how the game plays right now, but it's just a step. It's just the first step of the process. Okay, so pretty sure it's going to be in this attack branch right here. So I can kind of... So at this point, the player has already selected their attack movement. They've already confirmed their enemy that they want to attack. In this part, it's actually running the attack command. And when I say it's running the attack command, I'm saying that it's really speaking to the battle manager and saying, hey, do these animations and do these actions. Is essentially what's happening here. Okay, so we're going to the attack up branch because that's where this is where the player has chosen to attack up with stance 1. And so we have one that's called run attack up, which is a function. So here we go. Here's my update animation, and it is running attack up block follow up. So I'm going to switch that to no follow up because I haven't built in the mechanic for doing the follow up, which I think that may be something we may be able to touch today. Definitely one of the things we have to touch on is block versus hit. I think I have an idea of how we can do that. Okay, so attack up, block, no follow-up. So now I should see he just does the one attack, he doesn't do the follow-up. And yep, that's exactly what happened. So at this point, it was just calling block. It was just calling attack up because that's all I had. But now it's attack up, block, and no follow-up. So now I'm going to have to designate whether or not it should play block versus hit. So it's going to have to talk to the battle manager at that point. So let me finish. I also have to do the dash. You know, let's go ahead and do that now. Let's see how that looks. Am I able to call delay? I do not think so. So you cannot call delay in a function, which kind of stinks. That's why I do the delay here. But what I can do Yep, this is up for each stance. So I can make a function called run attack dash stance 1, S1, because attack stance dash is going to be the same regardless if they say attack up, down, left, right. Because it's just from the default idle position. I'm just thinking about where I'm going to want to put that. This stuff happens automatically or fast. Goes into attack up branch. I'm honestly thinking I can call it here. Sorry, I'm just thinking this through. Because I notice I have run attack up with delay, which is a macro. A macro allows you to call delay. Okay, so we go to attack up branch. I think I move these back. Run attack up with delay. Determine stance is just determining what stance you're in. I can just kind of quickly show the macro here. The blueprint for Battlemento, it contains the selected stance, and based on what is selected, that's how it determines which output to go with. So that is how it determines what stance it's in for this portion right here. And then if it's stance 1, then it's going to go here. So here is where I'm running my attack cinematic. My attack cinematic is the, no, not the dash, the character just kind of, you know, gliding over. So it actually would probably be good to run it here. It delays it for 1 second. That might actually be good. So let's try that. Let's stick it right here. So you can see that I have Battlemento as a variable, and I can just call Battlemento to do update animation. But when I was first building this, I was doing get player pawn, casting the Battlemento, and then running it. So at some point, I'll probably need to update that because I'm not going to do that. Because right here, I can just say Battlemento update animation. And then we're going to say attack dash. So now the character should do the attack dash, and it plays for 1 second. I'm just going to see how it looks. I'm definitely a person that just, you know, I try to think through my programming pretty thoroughly, but I'm also perfectly fine with just running it and see what happens, and hopefully things don't crash. So what I'm expecting is that he's going to do his attack dash as he kind of slides towards the enemy. How's it ultimately going to look? Don't know yet. That's just what I'm expecting. Interesting. Double interesting. I was able to, that's a bug. I was able to select my commands when it wasn't my turn. Oh, there you go. Found a bug. I was able to select the command when it should not have been my turn anymore. This makes me think the animation is not connected. Which I could have swore I did that last stream. But I guess not. Nope. Was not. Double check the blueprint. This I'm pretty sure we did last time. Attack dash, it's connected. Attack dash, it's connected. Okay. Now it should work. There he goes. Trying to see if he's moving before the animation starts or after. He does the dash. He shows up before the next animation runs. So that's more of the timing with the delay. So we're going to try and shorten that to like 0.6 seconds and see how that looks. I'm sure there's math for your frames and the delay. I'm just kind of going with how I see it. So I'm just trying to take in what it's doing right now. So does the dash, but before I think it's just running the player movement a little too quick. Let's just adjust the timing again, see what happens. I really gotta find out how to turn off that filter right from the get-go. I will try to research that before next stream. So he dashes, but then it shows his character model before it then goes into the other animation. Which is weird because shouldn't be going back into stance until right here. Let's see how 0.7 looks. That's a little bit better. So definitely the placement is off. Part of me wonders if there's something happening based on where they are at here as well. Like, part of me wonders, is it because it's a 2D, is one sprite over the other? Let me just kind of mess with that a little bit. So this actor, battle manager, this is basically running all the logic to say, start the battle, what to do when the battle's over. When I'm actually starting the battle, I'm actually spawning the player character as a new object, as well as the enemies. And that way the enemies can be selected based on the lottery. Right now, the lottery is only one character type, so that's why it's the same enemies that keep popping up. But it will be a lottery based on a data table. So here, player enemy movement during attacks. This is where you run attack cinematic when the player actually moves towards the enemy. And the way that works is I grab the player's location, as well as what I consider a location in front of the enemy. So I'm basically just telling the player, lurp towards the front of the enemy. And that's where the set actor location is saying that's where you need to go. And then run back means move back. This is for a special move called the Dance Macabre, so that is there, which runs select all enemies. We're gonna have to work on camera transitions at some point, because now with the new background I have during battle, and the camera moves to the player, you can see white space. I think I'm going to tackle that by zooming in. Not sure how it's going to look when the camera zooms in, but we'll kind of see how that plays out. Okay, so I'm trying to, I'm just going to move. So this is the battle, this is my character, player character. So I'm just going to move him. See, it's called Spawn Minto. I'm just going to move him forward. Forward in the 2D plane. Because I'm wondering if something's happening with that. Now see, you're looking at it, it looks exactly the same, but he's actually, his actual physical location on a 3D plane is actually closer to the camera. But because this is being shot on a 2D plane, it doesn't look that way. It still kind of looks the same. So, not really anything with that. Even if I attack this guy on the bottom, who I think his stuff is... Okay, so I think I know what I need to do. Maybe. Run attack cinematic. So this did not really matter. So I'm going to put it relatively back. Doesn't have to be perfect where it was, so that's fine. So run attack cinematic. Let's see what's going on here. I have a variable saying what turn is it. 0 is the player turn, so that's going up here. Aha, I think I know what the issue is. We have a delay that's happening here. So that delay is when the camera is shifting back. So I think that's the issue. Because if I recall, I think he dashes before the camera goes back. Like before the camera sets back to default, the animation's already ran. Yeah, so that's what I need to wait for. I need to say, don't actually play that until the camera is back in the default location. Now, is that how I'm going to want it ultimately? Probably not, but just for the purposes of looking decent for this, for currently how we currently have it, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so this is a 6-second delay to wait for the camera to go back to default. Which there's no time delay there. So, because this is occurring in a different blueprint, the delays are not really going to be talking to each other. Let me just put 1.5 and see what happens. Maybe it'll look just fine doing that. Heh, did the bug again. It wasn't my turn. He's still dashing before the camera goes back to default position. Yeah, he's dashing immediately. He doesn't care about going to the battle manager and waiting. Oh, all I gotta do is just put a delay in front of it. Duh. Maybe. Yeah, so all I gotta do is just say, you know, you need 0.6 seconds before you're done. So then all I have to do is just call that same 0.6 second delay right here. Because since they're in different blueprints, sorry, I just hit my mic. Because they're in different blueprints, the delays aren't talking to each other. So the delay in that blueprint, Battle Manager, that one's delaying, but this one's continuing without an issue. This one's like, all right, I'm good. I did this. I'm moving on to update animation. I don't care what's, actually ran in here. I ran it, now I'm moving on. So that's what's happening. So since I know this has a 0.6 second delay, I'm just going to call another 0.6 second delay, and that should allow the camera to put itself back into default position before it runs the animation. And I shortened the delay on the other end because I think it's going to be quicker. Of course, I could be completely wrong and it still doesn't work. Aha! I forgot something. He is moving during that. So yes, it waited for the camera to get back in the center before it did the animation, but he's already moving before that happens. Well, it's like he starts to move before the animation plays. So maybe I just need to shorten this. I think that looked a little bit better, but I could be wrong. But I think it did. Yeah, I think that looked way better. I think it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. Try one more time. Yeah, that looks way better. Okay, cool. All right. So I think we're getting closer. I just want to grab some quick water real quick. I will be right back. I will just I'll just let this play on this idle while I go do that, just so that, you know, people can look at something. It's all right. Hope that wasn't too long. Okay. Yeah, it looked like it was lagging there just because I clicked off of it. Okay. Let me look at it one more time. Because I think I have to speed up something else, or goes, dashes. Kind of looks okay. I might delay it another 0.1 second. That's the farthest enemy. I would like a little bit of a delay before he moves, because you can kind of see him moving, which I guess is fine, but I kind of, at least my idea for it was like he dashes, you can't see anything, and then he shows up and then he attacks. But currently what's happening is like he's dashing, but you can kind of see his movement while he's dashing. So it's like, yeah, it gives the sense that he's fast, but it's like it doesn't give the sense of like, oh, he disappeared, where is he going to end up? You know, it's like, no, you can clearly see he's moving towards the other enemy. Yeah, you can still kind of see that. Okay, I know why. It's because there's dust particles on the ground, and it's traveling with him. That's what's happening. Yeah, that's what it was. That's why I was like, I feel like I'm seeing him move from person to person when, like, I was going for, he's invisible. Where'd he go? Oh, he's in front of me. Oh, I got hit. But because the dust particles and he's moving with those positions, that's why that's happening. Okay, so I need to do a completely different motion for my player character, because I'm doing a lerp, which lerp is basically saying point A to point B, do this in this certain time. Do it within a time frame so that it looks natural. I just need to teleport him. I don't need to say lerp from here. I just need to say, hey, move here when you do the attack. So that way it really will be like a teleport. Like, oh, where'd he go? Oh, he's in front of me. Like he actually did teleport in front of the enemy. Yeah. Pretty sure that's what I need to do. Now, in the case of the enemies, I'm still going to have them run towards the player when they attack, when I'm, when I do their final animations. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep a lerp for them. I haven't messed around with the lerp too much. It's kind of, I don't know, looks kind of wonky to me a little bit. I mean, it's definitely not perfect. Oh, there, 2 of them are stunned. Let me let some of them come back. Yeah, it's like they go really fast. And I think I tried adjusting the speed, but it still kind of looked a little fast. But I'm sure I'll figure it out. Okay. So now I realize what I'm doing wrong. I really don't want to lerp. I just want him to teleport. So run attack cinematic. Battle turn is 0. That's the player's turn. It goes to 1 when it's the enemy's turn. So that's what runs the enemy's moving. It gets the, hey, here's the enemy's current location, which is based off of this. Here's in front of the player, which is... I don't remember if you can see... No, all I did was just like subtract it from where the enemy or where the player was. I just said take the player location and minus it by something on the x-axis, and that's in front of the player. Okay, so we don't need to do this anymore, but I'm not going to delete it yet. I'm just going to break it. Because if I am completely wrong, then I will definitely still want it. So let's just move these over here. Because now I think all I have to do is just set actor location. Now all I have to do is say move the character in front of the enemy instantaneously. It can be like that, because that's kind of what I'm trying to represent with his movement. I'm trying to represent that he's so fast he just moves like he's teleporting in front of you. Because that's super cool, right? There we go. There we go. It looked like there was a little bit delay on the... or I should say I had the delay go a little bit too long because it looked like it was starting to replay the dash animation again, I think. Let's see. Dash. Something weird's happening there. So we have to wait for the camera to go back, or at least that's what I was doing. Wait for the camera. Now play. The camera goes into position in 0.6 seconds. Let me extend this delay because, oh great, slow down my mouse. Because before, I believe the lerp was 0.3. So look at that, I just did that right. And I just accidentally closed out Battle Manager. Yeah, because if this was 0.3, I just added 0.3 to this delay, so I think now it will look a little bit better. Yes, much better. I think that is pretty much getting what I want. He's gone. And then he teleports right in front. Looks like the timing is actually not too bad. Gone. Yeah. The attack. It looks like he goes back to his idle stance a little too quick. Yeah. And I also need to teleport him back too. Yeah, I also need to run the attack Oh, I forgot an animation. I need to actually have him dash back. I totally forgot about that. Okay, well, that'll be added to the checklist to do. Let me write that down so I don't forget. I'll be honest, I got so excited of the attack dash prototype that I was like, yeah, let's just get this in. And obviously for stream jitters, I'm sure. Okay. So I don't have the animation for that yet, so we'll worry about that later. Okay, so run it again. Let me see it again. Yeah, so the dash back is gonna look weird, but the dash and the attack itself, I think, looks fine. Yeah, it's just the attack back, the attack. Well, he should be when he dashes back. Oh, okay, the animation's not playing fully. I totally didn't realize that. Okay. Attacks, teleports now. He runs this animation, and when he runs that animation, he waits 0.7 seconds. So this needs to be longer. Let's try 1 full second. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna try pausing. Yeah, see, it doesn't let you adjust that. I didn't think so. So this is where I'm just going to talk a little bit of game design. This is where you kind of want to put in debugging in your game logic, so that way you can debug in real time. So that way you don't have to keep doing what I'm doing, which is starting it, looking at it, stopping it, looking at it. Yeah, it's a little tedious and a little time consuming. Now, for something like this, I wouldn't do that, but later on, when I start getting into how strong are the enemies, how fast does the player progress, how many hits does it take for the player to beat against enemies, I'm really going to need to set up a debug menu in the actual game logic itself. So that way, all I have to do is just pause the game, open the debug menu, make the changes I want, and then restart it from there. So that way I don't have to go back to the blueprint editor. I'm writing that down because that's something that's going to be very helpful down the road. Test game play mechanics. All right. I changed it to a second. Looked like it needed just one more second. I gotta figure out how to get rid of that light filter. Otherwise, I just gotta keep pressing Shift F1, F2. Dash, attack, dash back. Yeah, so that will look better when I do teleports instead of lerping. I guess I can have him teleport now. Why wait? He doesn't have the dash animation for it, but whatever. Okay, run back. So like this. We're not gonna connect these anymore. Yeah, it's like, why wait? Why wait for him? Oh, I gotta break that. Put those over there just in case. Just in case I am wildly inaccurate. I do not have a delay. I think I was only doing the delay for the camera to get back into position. At least that's what it seems. No, wrong one. This is the one I actually needed. There we go. Because we are going back to player location. All right. There you go. There you go. Yeah, much better. In fact, that almost looked pretty darn good in terms of timing. At this point, it's just making sure that the timing looks right, and that looked good. Dash, attack, go back, and teleport back. Obviously, the teleport back will need a little bit longer because the dash animation will be a couple, like the return animation will be a couple of frames, but as of right now, it at least serves the purpose, so that's cool. Whew, all right. Cool, so we have him dashing, he attacks, it's a block. There's no follow-up yet because I do not have that logic created yet. So cool. So now I will have to add that to each one. So this is run attack up with delay. Run attack right with delay. You'll notice it looks similar. That was by design. Because now I know from looking at these two that, okay, so all I have to do is just adjust these. Mostly this part. This part. No, I take that back. I will be adjusting that. Okay. So it looks like we were originally doing 1 delay, and now we changed that to a 0.9 delay. So not much difference, which is good. Not changing anything too drastically. I'm just going to copy these. Obviously, I need more room to fit them in. Yep, so he runs attack dash. It's the same regardless if if the player is selected up, down, left, right. 0.6, 0.6. Okay. Now I just got to do that with the other two. I will keep that up because I am going to have to go back to that. Okay, attack right is good. Attack down. Move these out, way out. Move these down. Maybe or maybe not way down. There we go. Grab those. Put those back up there, over allocated, 0.6. So in the first stream, you know, when I was talking about the animation machine, the animation state machine for 2D sprites, this is why that update animation command is so good, because all I'm telling it is attack dash. But because of that other logic that's in the blueprint character, it will handle what stance animation it needs to do because of the structure, because of the indexes in the structure. So all I need to do is just call attack dash, and it's going to know which attack dash it's going to need to do once I actually add those in there. All right, so 0.3, 0.6, down is good, last is left. I figured I might as well just go ahead and do this now, get it out of the way, because I will have to do it later, so it's on my mind. Let's do it. Boom, boom, and 0.6. Nope. Okay, so each attack is ready to run the dash between each command you do. All right, good enough. All right, so now I can close all those. Now I have to tell it when to run the block animation versus running the hit animation, because right now it's just running the block. Particles are a little hard to see, but if you look close enough, which is not a good sign if I'm telling my potential future players, well, if you just look close enough, yeah. So I'll definitely have to make that more noticeable, even for a prototype. I should make it more noticeable. Yeah, there's like white little sparks. So it's running block. Now the way this game is currently set up is that enemies are automatically blocking based on how much stamina they have. How it's going to work, how I envision it to work, is based on the direction the player uses to attack. I apologize if I explained this in the first stream. I just realized I probably did. But anyway, I'm going to explain it again. How I envision it is based on what direction the player uses to attack. That is what's going to decide, did the enemy successfully block. It's going to be kind of like a rock, paper, scissors, but with the directional buttons. But for now, I just have it set up to where if the enemy has stamina, they will block. And then if they don't, they will take a hit. So now I just need to go to that logic, which is in the battle manager. And it is a function called issue damage. Whew. So issue damage is a nice function that has all this stuff set up. Basically, it's saying, is this a normal attack? Did you use a special skill? Because if you did, I'm going to have to do different commands for issuing damage. So that's what this function is doing. And that's why you'll notice it says active skill used. I'm calling it local because it's a local variable. Yeah. So that's a programming knowledge thing because it's in a function, so you're allowed to use local versus global. I didn't want that variable to be used anywhere else outside this function, so that's why I made it local, that kind of thing. So what I'm looking for is determining when the enemy blocks as opposed to takes a hit. So like I have, if the enemy's health is 0, then the enemy is dead, and do the stuff that you need to do when that happens. If the enemy has 0 endurance, then you're going to stun it. So random damage, calc, enemy. As of right now for this prototype, that's probably going to be my disclaimer whenever I start describing things. But game designing, game development, it's all iteration. Everything can change. How I currently have it set up is that it's a random chance, like a dice roll. So 1 of 6. Yes, 1 of 6. So it's a dice roll. They basically say if it's from 1 to 4, you just have normal damage. If it's are they both critical hits? Just one's higher than the other? It's sad that I can't remember. I know one of them is definitely a critical hit. I don't think the other one is like a, it's not very effective type thing, but I might have set that up. Because I'm seeing the enemy's defense come into play. Yeah, I might have said it's not very effective kind of thing. I think that is what I did. And just kind of off topic and just thinking about game design in general. So, that's a good example. What did Pokemon tell you? And for those that didn't know, yeah, that was a reference to Pokemon. So Pokemon, when you did a normal attack, the health just went down on the enemy. Okay, cool. But what happened when it did extra damage? It's super effective. So, it told the player, hey, you just did something that did extra damage. And then what happened if you did an attack that didn't do extra damage? It's not very, it was even less than normal damage. Well, it's not very effective. So, yeah, those are the kind of things that I have in my game currently. So, I need to implement that into the actual feedback during gameplay so that the player can see, like, oh, I just did a lot of extra damage on the enemy, or, oh, I didn't do that much damage. Just writing that down. I definitely practice the when I have an idea, or when I thought of something, kind of like a eureka, write it down, because when you have those moments where you're like, oh yeah, I totally need to do that. When I get to that point where I'm actually going to do it, weeks later, I probably won't remember. I'll probably be like, oh, is that what I wanted to do? Oh yeah. But now that I've got it written down, hopefully I'll refer back to that. Okay, so endurance check with the enemy. That is what decides if they are blocking or not blocking. So what it's doing is it's taking the enemy's endurance, which I've put into